Welcome to Selling South of Boston, your go-to resource for everything real estate on the South Shore and beyond.
We're your hosts, Renee,
Kim,
Laura.
local real estate experts, educators, and advocates helping buyers and sellers navigate today's market with confidence.
Whether you're thinking about buying your first home, selling your current one, or just love staying in the know with what's happening in our local market, you're in the right place.
Each week, we break down real estate strategies, share insider tips, and talk through real-life scenarios we see every day right here in Mass, so you can make smarter, more informed decisions.
so grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's talk real estate south of Boston. Today, I thought one of the most important questions that we've been getting from specifically sellers right now that either want to move down or move up in our community is, I want to put my home on the market, but I'm really scared because I have nowhere to go. And is it possible for me to do that on the same day? And the answer is yes, you can do that. And our team is so well prepared to have sellers actually do that. And we're so lucky today to have Jamie Bolster here with us today, who was one of our prior sellers and buyers. And I think the biggest thing, or the place where people have to kind of get their jitters out, just like we do when we do our podcast, is let's get rid of the fear. And what is that fear as a home seller that has to move within the same day, whether you're staying local or you're moving out of town, moving across states? The biggest question is, I don't want to sell and have nowhere to go. I don't want to carry two mortgages, or I need to sell my house to buy a new house because I just don't have funds sitting in the bank. And I don't want to have to move twice. I don't want to have to move somewhere, maybe live with family, or I don't have family or friends. We actually have run into that too. And honestly, you shouldn't have to worry about all of those things. And that's why we're here to really guide you through those things. The goal in this situation is really to close on the same day. And when you sell your home and buy your next one, it's not always going to be seamless because we run into issues, but our job as real estate agents is to make it as seamless as possible.
Yeah, I mean, the ideal thing obviously is to close on the same day because we all have real life things going on, but closing on your current home, slipping into the next one without any lag over is really where we come in. We've done it so many times with Jamie. And like Kim said, it doesn't always go as a well-oiled machine, but we have it pretty down packed. You would typically close on your current home in the morning, and then typically, the funds would get wired over and we close on your second, your new home. And then as soon as it goes on record, you can move right in. So essentially, you'll have, your purchase funded by the sale of your home all in the same day. And we try to make that seamless. Some people are like, I don't know, I'm scared of it, but we do try. And I think we have a pretty good handle on it.
Yeah, and it's not magic, it's planned.
Yeah.
Right. It's planned, and there's, many key pieces, but just a few real key pieces to be able to close on both homes on the same day. And one of them, probably one of the most important things, is to have a very strong pre-approval. Mm-hmm. And not just be qualified, but have a pre-approval and be sound with your lender as to exactly what you're looking for. The other piece in that is having a team, not of just amazing realtors, but your closing attorney, your lender, and having the team all working together so everybody is on the same page for both closings. So then you as the seller and the buyer, all in that one day, that you're going to go to this person, and they're going to be right there. And if Kim can't get you the answer, if I can't get you the answer, if the attorney can't get you the answer, somebody's going to get you the answer, and you're not scrambling. And I think that was, for me, when I did it years ago, that was my biggest thing, is that, there was open communication on all levels for that.
And the lender also, like I said, the lender needing to know if you're using the proceeds from the sale, if you have funds, stored away that you can carry both mortgages if need be. Like where are you at? And that's where that strong pre-approval comes in versus qualified. And I think that people who are, when you're going in to buy a home, that seller wants to be sure that you have a very strong approval and that you have a team in place as well, because then they're going to be more apt, I think, to work with you as the buyer with a contingency on that.
And just kind of going further with that, I have a lot of people that say, hey, I want to look at a home. I know mine isn't on the market. And the window shopping of people window shopping and not really being prepared and not being able to buy without selling their home. I think it's fine to go to open houses and do that. I think the problem with that is you're going to find that one that you want and you won't be prepared. So knowing if you have a home sale contingency, it doesn't make sense not to have your home on the market. And we've run into recently, sellers, agents will not allow us to put an offer in if someone is contingent upon selling their home. However, what we can do when we list your home, which we actually have a listing on this week in Carver, and it is contingent upon the seller finding suitable housing. So when we have that in our listing, it's protecting you as the seller so that you're not going to be homeless. And I think that was one of the first the conversations that I had with you, Jamie, was, we don't want to be homeless. We don't want to move in with our folks. We don't want to have to rent a hotel room. So making sure that when you're working with a real estate agent, that those things are covered and that is in your listing so that you as the seller are driving the show, but then you also can go put an offer on something because your home at least is on the market and you're playing ball. You're not sitting on the sidelines with a wish and a prayer hoping that somebody would accept your offer when you're not even in the game. I guess I'll use it. Baseball season.
Yeah, because we all know too is people want to prepare their house to go on the market, and I think sometimes when you're in that constraint and you find something that you really love, and then you're like, I have to put an offer in by Monday, but yet my house isn't what I feel ready. Which that's another tip that we go in and tell you how to make your house ready. But I think it takes having your house on the market before you even go into something, because chances are that's when you're going to fall in love with it, because it happens every single time. And more than likely with competitive offers, that you're going to get your offer accepted over somebody who hasn't put their house on the market, because we've run into that as well.
Oh, all the time.
So I just feel like your timing with that, as far as all that goes, is key too. And then, of course, we follow the process because there's always key dates, and so that's our job, is to make sure that all those dates are met. And if not, we can extend or whatever. But having that smooth transition throughout the whole process.
I just want to mention something on that, Renee. We can scurry, so we can hurry. Like if things happen, we can move quick, especially if you've kind of been decluttering and thinking about this. And, we can get our professional photographer in. We can do videos. We can get an open house on the books. But obviously, it goes so much smoother for you as the seller when you can breathe and the timing can be yours and you really are in control. And that's really what it's about, is having the seller be in control, not only selling their property, but having the choice to put an offer in onto where you want to go, what your next beautiful home is going to be like for your family.
Yeah, just taking that piece of stress out.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the other thing is the negotiating. People fear that they don't have, if they want to close and buy, sell and buy on the same day, they feel like there's this a time constraint within that day, or that somebody else is going to, they don't have what you typically would have when you close on a home with, the house being, when you do your walkthrough, it needs to have, there's certain criterias that we as the realtors would put into your contract. But when you have that anxiety feeling that I have to be in that house by such and such a time today, there are other things that can be done. There's the use and occupancy that in the law offices, they do that all the time. So again, another team member, right? So you can actually move into the home and rent from that seller that you're buying from, and that buys you a day or two if something isn't quite right. And it's just like a timing thing. The other thing is the rent back agreements. Those are huge. We did those in the office all the time back in the day for the buyers and sellers for same day closing. And so there's other options besides just your typical, I'm closing today and buying my dream home.
Right.
There's other options that can happen and you'll stay protected. The seller will stay protected. And again, I just bring it back to having a team of people that work very well together and have a mutual respect for each other and for our clients.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's what you need. You need that, and as like the buyer seller, you need a team of people that you can trust during like one of the most stressful periods of time. You're trying to sell, you're trying to buy, knowing that you have a team that you can trust is huge.
It is.
Absolutely.
And we try to avoid things that, as our team has been working, over the last 15 years, we've learned a lot, right? We've certainly made mistakes and have learned from them. And now we watch for that. Like Friday closings, when somebody's selling and buying, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Because the registry is only open until 4 o'clock. And so if it doesn't get registered by 4 o'clock, you're not moving into your house and your truck is packed and you're trying to find a hotel and it's stressful. You're yelling at us, you're yelling at the attorney. So I think that we're really always trying to look 10 steps ahead, and we do try to have those explanations through each part. Like, well, why can't I close on a Friday? Well, you can, but here's the reasons why that might not be a good idea. So obviously being real about all of this, there's so many moving parts, and I think that we are used to, in real estate, doing this on a daily basis. We're used to things being delayed. We're used to last minute things, walkthroughs not going exactly the way that they need to. Sometimes there's title issues. Hopefully that's cleared up before the final walkthrough, but things have happened. And sometimes there's somebody buying your house that might be delayed, right? That we don't have control over. But our job is to have an open conversation with our peers, our other agents. And the good news is, for a lot of us, for a lot of our agents locally, we've worked with them before. We know them. We see them at meetings. We socialize with them. So a lot of times we have really good relationships with our peers. And even if we don't know them, we're going to have a good relationship with them because you want to sell, they have a buyer, you want to buy, they have an agent that we want to work with and get everybody to the closing table with an amicable agreement. And so we'd really love to kind of tell you or show you, I guess, in this podcast about one of our clients. So we were lucky to have been to know Jamie, and Jamie was a referral from someone in our sphere. And her family came to us wanting to sell their home in Middleborough and buy in Kingston. And Jamie, do you mind sharing a little bit about, we'd love to wrap up with your story of working with the Selling South of Boston team and anything you feel, just speaking from the heart, I think is always best.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's such a good question. I feel like I was the stereotypical seller that got it in my mind, now is the time, the interest rates were low, this is the time to sell our house and buy our forever home. We were very nervous. We had 1-year-old twins, we had 2 dogs, I'm a busy executive. It was just not really the time, but we knew it was because of the interest rates. I remember calling you, kind of running my crazy idea by you. You're like, you got this. I'm gonna come see the house. I'm gonna give you my advice on what it's going to look like to sell and get the house ready. And I feel like we very quickly got the house ready. It was photographed, I want to say maybe 2 weeks later, and then it was on the market. I think the biggest fear was being homeless and having to stay with family or friends or a hotel. It just wasn't possible. And I feel like between you and Renee and your team, I always felt like rest assured that that was not going to happen. Maybe we needed an extension, maybe it took a little longer than we wanted it to. None of that happened, but I always felt safe and secure that we were not, in fact, going to be living in our car. And so I trusted your judgment that the best thing to do was to focus on selling our house because we're going to find another house on the other end. Like we wanted to position ourselves to be ready to buy, as opposed to, I think, we wanted to worry about buying and not selling, and we focused on just selling. It sold very quickly, and then we did find our dream house. And we found our dream house during a time it was extremely difficult to buy a house, and especially in Kingston, one of the most sought after towns, and we managed to make it happen. And I think you guys just worked seamlessly. I would say from beginning to end, it was such a smooth process, honestly. And I hear nightmares from other people, and that was not my experience.
Oh, we love hearing
Truly.
that.
Truly.
We love hearing that. And, you know, you really become friends and you really we care about our clients just like family. And we want to have those stories continue. So, you know, Jamie, if you were a seller today, thinking about this, you know, moving forward, you know, to leave our audience with this thought today, what would you tell a seller today?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like I would make sure that I chose the right realtor for me, somebody I can trust, somebody that has expertise in the area, that knows the market well, that really has those deep connections. You know the attorneys, you know the brokers, you know the other agents, because I think that does make all the difference. I know for getting our house, having your relationships with the area definitely helped. I think you knowing the lenders helped, making sure that that was solid. I think there's so much value in that relationship building, especially, you know, if I was a seller going online looking for a new realtor and you see 100 referrals and everybody's like, go, you know, check out this person. I would check out somebody that really has a long-standing history of being in the community and strong relationships, and your reputation absolutely speaks for itself.
Oh, we love that. Well, we love that. We love you that you were able to come in today on such short notice and meet with us. And for anybody that has questions about selling or buying, or just wants a resource for learning how to sell or buy or any of that, we'd certainly love for you to give us a call and reach out to us.